ॐ द्यौ शान्तिः अन्तरिक्षं शान्तिः आपः शान्तिः पृथिवी शान्तिः ओषधयः शान्तिः वनस्पतयः शान्तिः सर्वे देवा शान्तिः ब्रह्म शान्तिः शान्तिरेव शान्तिः सा मा शान्तिरेधि ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Let there be peace in the heavens. Let there be peace in the sky, peace in the waters, peace on earth, peace in plants and animals, peace in Brahman, peace among all beings. Om, peace, peace, peace unto all. Swami Swahanji and friends, it's my pleasure to be here this morning and meet you all. See, it's not that I plan to be here on a Sunday. I plan to be elsewhere. But it didn't work out. See, I have, from experience in my life, discovered there is some our overriding power that works in this world. It doesn't mean we shouldn't do anything. That reality has given us also a little power, you see. So within our limited power, we have got to do our best. And when things go the other way, gracefully accept, perhaps that was not right, my plan, and this was as well. See, first, I wanted to go to San Francisco. And the San Francisco Swami frantically said, no, he rang up and said, no, I'll be away, you please go to Los Angeles first. And that's how I am here. You know, sometimes God's plans are too complicated, we don't know. So, but we have got to go through all that, and then finally accept gracefully. So I have decided always in my life, accept what comes, don't fight too much against it. Because you just can't do anything about it. So when we talked of the subject on which I'm going to talk this morning, that again, it's always a problem. If a person is constantly talking and talking endlessly, what to talk where is also a problem. So I suggested the subject which has been announced, the spiritual basis and unity of life. See, we, in the Hindu philosophy, have a theory, one of the theories of creation. Thus, this theory of creation, there are various aspects to it, just as we have in the West also, there are various theories of creation. But in the Hindu philosophy, we believe there is only one creative power, one reality, what we call as Brahman. It's an all-pervading reality. If some modern rational people pin me down sometimes as they do, I simply say, oh, that creative property is only an energy system. Because God is not a popular word these days. So it's an energy system which sometimes is static, sometimes it is dynamic. And this energy system, the faithful, the believers, call as God. And this reality, had it been simply in a static condition, there would be no problem at all. It is there, well balanced, quiet, and nothing seems to happen. But you see, being quiet and nothing happening is not something we all like. Perhaps even God doesn't like it. That is the problem. So he saw he was too quiet and said, Bahusyam prajayeti. Let me become the many. And then started the whole of this creative process. Perhaps that very thought created a big bang, from where the whole creation started. And then that very creative power became what we call as fine elements. Then it became grosser elements. Then it's the same power, mind you. It's not something different. It's only its wavelength changed, perhaps. So it became grosser elements. Then in that life as perceived by us manifested. That creative power was there all the while in it. But it manifested like life as perceived by us. And as it started wriggling about, as an amoeba does, that's where we first see life. Maybe a little smaller forms, maybe. But that's where we see it only wriggles about. This Brahman, the creative power behind creation, is locked up in its unicellular organism and is trying to break the barriers and get himself free. Till then it was fun, And he didn't foresee all this. Oh, he contemplated upon it. That's what the scriptures say. Satapodapyata. He went into deep contemplation to create this problem for himself. So when creation came and life started feeling its presence, that Brahman, and he is found, he is imprisoned in the creation he has created. There is a Bengali song by Ram Prasad, which Sri Ramakrishna used to sing. So he says, Mother, what a pity, what a miserable condition I am in. I have fallen into the well dug by myself during this broad daylight. That's what happens to most of us, and that's what happened to this Brahman also. Having been caught up in it, now he wants to become free. But that's a creative process he has set in motion. He simply cannot dissolve the whole thing and go back. Because in this creative process, he has set certain natural laws according to which the whole process of evolution must take place. So even he cannot change it. So he had to go through the whole process of evolution. Then it started, multicellular organisms. Then life, a little more tangible way. As we see in plants, life is very much perceptible. Of course, there are other dimensions to it also. Now we have discovered it. And then consciousness comes into the picture. Then at the human level, self-consciousness comes into the picture. Nature or natural laws that set in motion this evolution very dexterously manipulates, though often wasteful methods, you see, manipulates this evolution up to the subhuman level. At human level, this Mother Nature discovers the physical evolution has been such where the divinity that is imprisoned can manifest a little more tangibly. So she tells these beings, now come on, further evolution depends upon your cooperation. You have reached a stage of maturity, just as we tell our children, adolescents, they also demand freedom. So human beings also said, no, I want freedom. I don't want you to be sitting on my shoulders always. Like children grown up, I say, all right, when he demands too much, we say, give him the key and say, take care of yourself. So nature, a soul, look here, I have brought you up so far. Now you want more freedom? Yeah, you will have it. But further evolution is your own responsibility. That's why at human level, we find further evolution is not simply physical, though certain amount of physical evolution also is taking place. It's more mental and spiritual. So this divine spark that's imprisoned in us is struggling to manifest in a greater degree at human level. As human beings have given responsibility for further evolution, further manifestation of this divinity, so they have got to lay down some rules. So different societies have laid down rules for the further manifestation of this potential divinity. Simply developing the stage of self-consciousness is not enough. It has to become a reflective self-consciousness. There are many people in this world who are self-conscious, but in a wrong way. That's not enough for evolution. You must be able to think and see whether I'm doing right. In the old days, the teachers in the classroom always used to say, think for yourself. Because nowadays, I don't think they dare tell that. The boys think what they want to do. They don't require a teacher to tell them about it. So this thinking process, a reflective process, is very essential. That's what differentiates a human being from other animals. Ahara nidra bhayamaitunancha samanyametat pashubhirnaranam. Between the animal and the human world, food, sleep, love and hate, these are common factors. Dharmo hi tesha maniko vishesho. A person who is able to discriminate between the right and wrong and choose to do the right, he is something very special. So that's what human beings are. If we do not have it, dharmena hina pashubhis samanam, that's what the poet says. If you do not have this ability, establish yourself in that properly, you are not much different from animals. Another thinker tells us, Manushya rupena mrigascharanti. The animals move in the form, in human form in this world. We meet a lot of them, isn't it? So one has got to be very careful. You got to carry a whistle. I didn't know why people carry whistles here roundabout. They are afraid which wild animal they are going to meet, you see. So they must have a whistle to call attention of other people. So that's what happens. So we have got to be careful. It's necessary, having come through a long process of evolution, to think a little more and reflect on what we do. Thoughtless action doesn't help us in improving our spiritual quality or manifestation of spiritual dimension. So it's very necessary that human beings must try, because that is, without it, further spiritual manifestation or the manifestation of the divine in us Not possible. Some great people just perceived it, They are all divinities on earth. Yes, yes, divinity is very potential only. Because it's not obvious. But you cannot perceive it. So to make it tangible, simply developing this higher state is not enough. I've got to also develop a little reflection on it. So thinking is something very special to human beings. Thinking right is very essential. So human beings have been have developed this faculty. And then religion is something very unique, which the qualities which we considered as virtuous or a great virtue in the animal world are no more a virtue in the human world. Whatever we do, we are asked, think, exercise a little control. Indulgence is no virtue. By self-control alone, you will be able to manifest that divine spark that's in you. So the responsibility is put on human beings. Human beings have reached a very high state of evolution. In the Hindu scriptures simply say, this is a great gift of God. Durlabham trayami vaitat daivanugrahahetukam. By God's grace alone you have got these three things. Manushyatvam, to be born as a human being. Mumukshutvam, to have desire to find out the truth about yourself. Mahapurusha samshraya, then to be able to find someone who will be able to help me. So at least we are human beings. Great hurdle we have passed. But that's not enough. I must be able to discriminate. That discriminative faculty, if we do not develop, we are stuck. So we have got to think and how to evolve further. Often we build houses on the bridges and think we are safe and sit there. Now normally we are told nobody builds houses on the bridges. So I have seen a couple of places where houses are built on the bridges. How much ever comfortable it may be in a what you call it, motel or a hotel, you are traveling, but you don't want to sit there. You are all right for a night. You must be on the move because you are not going to settle down there. So human situation as it is may be very comfortable. Thanks to science and technology, it is amazing. More comfortable than what is good for us. We think it's nice, wonderful things, toys to play with. So why not sit here and enjoy? Now sometimes people ask, Swami, Hinduism preaches the theory of reincarnation. Why is the human population going up? Big problem for them. Because we have created a very nice world. We don't want to go further. So from the bottom, monkeys are coming up and becoming human beings. And human beings are not going further. You see, they are all stuck here. Some have wonderful things, toys to play with. So we are quite happy to be here, though often very uncomfortable. So to have all these things is very nice, but it's uncomfortable also. Because whatever riches we may have here, God's creation seems to be like that. I was reading this small poem yesterday. I will read it for you. It's an interesting thing. Some reflection of a poet, you see. God has given us everything, but has not given us peace. Why did He do this world? Often this question comes into, why did He create this world? Full of problems. This is the reason. When God at first made man, having a glass of blessings standing by, let us, said He, pour on him all we can. So he wished it. Let the world's riches, which dispersed lie, contract into a span, and of course he filled everything into the glass. So strength first made way as he poured it. Then beauty flowed. Then wisdom, honor, and pleasure. When almost all was out, God made a step because he noticed something sticking at the bottom, you see. So he made a step. Perceiving that alone of all his treasures, rest and peace at bottom lay. Of all the things, the gold and silver went out. But there was something sticking at the bottom that was rest and peace. Then God reflected a little. For if I should, said he, bestow this jewel also on my creatures, he would adore my gifts instead of me, and rest in nature and not seek the God of nature. So both should losers be. Yet, let him keep the rest. All this fun that we have in this world, gold and silver, he said, let him keep the rest. But keep them with repining restlessness. Let him be rich and weary, that at least, if goodness lead him not, yet weariness may toss him to my breast. So God gave us everything, gave us intelligence, and all these abilities that he has given us to create the science, technology, the wonderful world to live in. But we hold on to it with a repining heart. No rest and peace in it. That's what this creative power has done with us. It's very nice for him to create. It is like cat and the rat, you see. He did this creation, all right, but we are victims of this creation. The cat is busy playing. If any of you have seen what it does with the rat. So that's what we are, victims in this creation. But having developed a little intelligence, reflection on the whole this creative process, some people have found a way of getting out of this situation. And having found it, they have given that information to the world. Look here, there's a way. So we all look to them for guidance, and we would like to get out of this mess we are in. What we think, this is wonderful and hold on, we can't take it with us. We've got to leave it behind here anyway. But once this mind opens up and we are able to discriminate, then everything falls into proper place. And our evolution also takes place. But till that time, the trouble goes on. Sometimes religions also are at fault. Religions told God created man first, and he was very pleased, and then created, of course, made Eve from the rib of Adam, and then the rest of the creation, and told man, you go and enjoy yourself. So he thinks this world is there for him to enjoy. So he is busy enjoying himself and not searching for God. But in this process, we have made a lot of mistakes. We are busy exploiting everything for our enjoyment. And we have done it ruthlessly, especially for the last few centuries. Now, of course, we are already started suffering the backlash of it. See the highway there, we've got to protect ourselves even from the road that we have built. That's what happens. So there is a backlash, as it were. The air we breathe is polluted, the water of the rivers, and everything, the food we eat. So you take a glass of water to drink. He said, no, Swami, we will bring a little distilled water to drink, not this water to drink. And you take the fruit to eat. He said, no, cut off the skin first. Because there is a plenty of poison on it. So this goes on endlessly. So our misdeeds have boomeranged against us. We have become individually selfish, nationally selfish. As human beings, all of us are selfish everywhere. That's what has happened to us. So we have alienated ourselves from our own divine dimension, from nature all around us, and other human beings. So this is the situation we are. So unless we develop a little subtle perception by reflective thinking and consciousness, we will never be able to understand or manifest that divine that's imprisoned in us. I'll read to you rather a long quotation which has great relevance to this point. This happened here in this country when the white people were spreading themselves all over America. In the year 1855, Franklin Pierce of United States made a request to the chief of Seattle of the Swamish tribe of Indians who lived in what is now the state of Washington to sell his land to the government. In reply, the chief Seattle sent the following letter to the president. Now, being very close to nature, they had a deeper perception to the reality than the modern sophisticated man. That's what comes out in this letter. The great chief in Washington sends word to us that he wishes to buy our land. The great chief also sends us words of friendship and goodwill. This is very kind of him, since we know that he has little need of our friendship in return. But we will consider your offer, for we know that if we do not do so, the white man may come with his guns and take our land. How can you buy or sell the land or the sky? The warmth of the land. This idea is very strange to us. Yet, we do not own the freshness of the air or the sparkle of the water. How can you buy them from us? Every part of this earth is sacred to my people. Every shining pine needle, every sandy shore, every mist in the dark woods, every clearing and humming insect is holy in the memory and experience of my people. We know that the white man does not understand our ways. One portion of the land is the same to him as the next, for he is a stranger who comes in the night and takes from the land whatever he wants. The earth is not his brother, but his enemy. And when he has conquered it, he moves on. His appetite will devour the earth and leave behind only a desert. The sight of your cities pains the eyes of the red man. But perhaps it's because the red man is a savage. He does not understand. If I decide to accept, I'll make only one condition. The white man must treat the beasts of this land as his brothers. What is man without the beasts? If all the beasts are gone, men would die from great loneliness of the spirit. For whatever happens to the beasts also will happen to him one day. One thing we know, which the white man may one day discover, our God is the same God. You may think you own him as you wish to own our land, but you cannot. He is the God of all men. And his compassion is equal for the red and the white. This earth is precious to him, and to harm the earth is to heap contempt on the Creator. The whites too shall pass, perhaps sooner than other tribes. Continue to contaminate your bed, and you will one night suffocate in your own waste. When all the buffaloes are slaughtered, the wild horses tamed, the sacred corners of the forest heavy with the scent of men, and the view of the ripe hills blotted by talking wives, where is the thicket? Where is the eagle? And what is it to say goodbye to the shift and hunt? The end of living and the beginning of dying. There is no quiet place in the white man's cities. No place to hear the leaves of the spring or the rustle of the insect wings. But perhaps I am a savage. I do not understand. The clatter only seems to insult my ears. And what is there to life? If a man cannot hear the lovely cry of the whippoorwill or the argument of the frogs around the pond at night, the Red Indian prefers the soft sound of the wind itself, cleansed by the midday rain or scented with a pine. The air is precious to the red man. We also feel it today. The air is precious to the red man, for all things share the same breath. The beasts, the trees, and man. The white man does not seem to notice the air he breathes. Like a man dying for many days, he is numb to the smell. We might understand if we know what the white man dreams, what hopes he describes to his children on the long winter nights, what visions he burns into their minds, so that they will wish for tomorrow. But we are savages. The white man's dreams are hidden from us. And because they are hidden, we will go on our way. If we agree, it will be to secure our reservation you have promised. There perhaps we may live out our brief days as we wish. When the last red man has vanished from this earth, and the memory is only the shadow of a cloud moving across the prairie, these shores and forests will still hold the spirits of my people, for they love this earth as a newborn loves its mother's heartbeat. If we sell you our land, love it as we have loved it, care for it as we have cared for it, hold it in your mind, the memory of the land, as it is when you take it, and with all your strength, with all your might, and with all your heart, preserve it for your children and love it as God loves us all. One thing we know, our God is the same God. The earth is precious to Him. Even the white man cannot be exempt from the common destiny. So the chief's name is perpetuated in the name of the city of Seattle in the state of Washington, and this letter was released by the United States government as part of the bicentenary celebrations. I read this rather a long quotation to tell you how the most what we call, whom we call as most primitive people, what insights these people had, closer to nature and closer to God. Because having lived in the cities today, we feel the need to go back to nature and know where nature is left, where we can go. So that has been the problem. So that is the spiritual insight that all of us have got to develop. I am not against the development of science and technology. I'm grateful to it. It has made human life comfortable. But there is something else for us to do. We can't simply sit comfortably here. Because our spirit demands it of us. I try to forget here. All right, it's all nice. But it's boring. As I showed earlier, repining, we hold on to all these things. I would like to get out. Of course, all of us try to get out at the same time on every Friday and Saturday evening, you see. So that is the problem. Yeah. We feel the need to get out, but that is the situation we are in. So, human beings have these three dimensions in them: the physical, mental, and the spiritual. Our society today makes adequate arrangements for development of the physical and the mental dimension. But spiritual, they are not sure. Though we feel the need for it, but we do not know what we need. So what we know, we hold on to it. This divine spark that's within us needs to be recognized and manifested. See, to manifest the physical side, we exercise the body, we give mental food for development of the mind, we also pay attention for the development of the spiritual side. That's where religion comes to help us. A little attention to it. Whatever things we pay attention to, they develop. So we develop the body and the mind, but the spiritual side also is there. But when we say God, people do not like it very much these days. Because it is true that God, who's an exclusive God, who is a God who sits in heaven and rules this earth as he likes, and all our appeals, he doesn't respond at all. Because, on Christmas Eve, what happens? we want this, we want that. Children, right? No, we know very well who gives those things. Not the class God doesn't send anything. So that God who sits away somewhere, it's not that God we want, it's here, the God living here I must manifest. So that is the responsibility we have on us as human beings. We simply cannot escape it. We must take responsibility on ourselves. Because we always have been trained to put responsibility on others, When I'm sick, it's the doctor's responsibility to make me all right. No, people have started thinking about that also, because the doctor's bills are very heavy. Now we must do something about it. We have to look after ourselves. But the bill for our spiritual life, neglecting our spiritual life, is much heavier. We very carelessly deal with life and its opportunities and think I can get away with it. I can't. When the time comes to pay the bill, God save us if there is one. So we can't afford to neglect it. So we have got to make a little effort. But the question is faith in God possible? See, again, this faith, even the God within us, is also an act of faith. Because some people who have realized this truth have told us, the kingdom of God is within you. Seek ye first the kingdom of God, everything else will be added unto you. But this teaching is there for 2000 years. What have we done? We have taken care of everything, you see. And the teaching we have reversed a little and say, God will look after us. These material things we will look after ourselves. So we have developed all this side. But he turns around and says, look here, I told you, seek ye first the kingdom of God. So he also sits back in his chair and we go on suffering here. This is what's been happening. As a priest one day told me, we have not yet given a chance for the teachings of Jesus Christ to be tried in our lives. So the teachings are there. For 2000 years, if we have not given a chance, when are we going to do it? We don't know. So the responsibility is ours. He has thrown the ball into our court. So we must make a little effort, throw the court ball back into his court. Let him play also the game. But he is not there, but he is here. We've got to manifest it. Once we manifest, everything seems to work. Till that time, it's a suffering. So we have got to work with the power, ability we have at our disposal and try to manifest this God that dwells within us. And that alone ultimately will bring out paying attention. That's why meditation, contemplation have become common these days. Even the yoga has become very common. Often people only limit it to physical yoga only. They don't go beyond it. So one has to be very careful to manifest this. And the responsibility ultimately is ours, not someone else's. The more effort we make, the greater will be the manifestation of this potential power. And with faith we have got to work. And the great saints in the world have held it before us that it's practical and possible. So the more effort we make, more attention we pay, and the greater the faith will be. Once we have that faith, endowed with that faith, we'll be able to perceive things which we are not able to perceive at this stage. Faith sees the invisible, believes in the incredible, and is rewarded with the impossible. People who have gone through it know it very well. Often we think, is it practical? You've never tried it. Try it and see for yourself. And if you start with the hypothesis it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work. But if you have the faith, it does work. I can tell you from my own experience in my life. And this I have learned from others who had their experiences. So it's our primary duty in life. All other things will be there. Make up your priorities properly and pay a little attention to it. Do what best you can, as much as you can. Then we discover the divine spark that's within us. Human life is sacred. It needs to be made richer and nobler. We have progressed a lot, but there's still a long way to go. There is so much to be improved in the human situation. There is no place for complacence. So keeping this in mind, we've got to keep on manifesting this potential divinity that's within us. That's what Swami Virajananda said. Religion is the manifestation of divinity already in us. It's there already. Only if I don't take notice of it, it's not there. It's not its fault. It's tugging at our sleeves and calling our attention. But I silence it. When Mahatma Gandhi, he was a God's own good man, but there were very sharp intellects around him, like Pandit Nehru and company, you see. But sometimes they would pin him down, arguing with him. But somehow he felt, this is not right. But he can't convince them. So he will say, all right, come tomorrow, let me pray and find out. When he prayed and came out and said, no, this is what is to be done, they knew that was true. So he could very tangibly hear his inner voice. But we make a lot of noise outside and silence it. Not that we silence it. We try to put it down. It's there still. So pay little attention. So this is the faith we need most in our lives. The more we manifest it, the more we discover really these are divinities on earth. As I started, say it's addressing this. That is divinity. God Himself present here. Where do we run after seeking for God? It's here. And as we are mature, adolescent, grown-up people in this creation, so it's our responsibility to discover the unity of whole existence, not only human beings, the animals, and the plants, and everything else. So that is the common basis on which the whole of life exists and develops. I think I will stop it at that. Thank you very much. Om asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityorma mritam gamaya. Om shanti shanti shanti. O God, lead us from unreal to the real, from darkness to light, and from death to immortality. Om peace, peace, peace unto all.